This podcast is Harmless Phosphorescence no more! Hello, everyone! This is Thoreau Smiley, and my arms tell me to do things. Who is joining me this week?
I'm Josh Cece, and I'm in love with Mary Jane.
I'm Brian Lesh, and I'm here to pitch my new cologne, Whip.
Whip.
I'm Alaric Weber, and I only have one Weber suit.
And this is Harmless Phosphorescence, the podcast where we watch every theatrically released full-length live-action superhero movie ever made. We gather some research into the production and the source material, then we tell you about that movie. This show is brought to you by our patrons. Patrons like executive producers Ember Keller, Michael Beckwith, and Atticus Burkett. Thank you guys for helping us out, and you too can be a patron. Just head on over to patreon.com/harmlessentertainment, where you can watch a ton of bonus content there. We've got Star Wars series, holiday shows, Christmas, and soon to be Halloween coming up. We've got shows about music. And, of course, our monthly movie episodes. Oh, our monthly movie episodes. That reminds me. So, coming up for September, we have a winner. Our September monthly movie episode will be Dune.
Nice.
I would have been happy with any, but this will be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
It's a long movie.
We'll have a pronunciation key at the bottom.
Amadeus was actually a close second on that one.
I would have loved Amadeus. Yeah.
Same.
Oh, God, yeah. I haven't seen Amadeus in years, and I really would have loved to see it. I haven't seen Dune in years either, though, so.
It's probably one of the... Go ahead.
The only reason I didn't nominate Dune was because I knew someone else would.
That's going to be the voting policy come November.
So I did look up Dune.
Surrogate vote.
I did look up Dune. There was the director's cut of it, which was over 3 hours.
All right.
That's not the one that's available. I think it's on Amazon or Hulu. I can't remember which. It's the regular 2.5 hour version one.
Yeah, we need to do the theatrical one, not the but it's going to be a doozy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm going to need those like Clockwork Orange things to keep my eyes open.
Right. Be a patron, $1 a month, and you can hear us talk about Dune.
The spice is the life. Join up.
More deep.
Spice up your life.
Now, however, this week on Harmless Phosphorescence, we are watching Spider-Man 2.
Knowledge gives us strength, makes us noble. Even though sometimes we have to give up the thing we want the most.
Barker!
Where you been? Looking for you all morning.
You're late.
Always late!
You're fired.
Look at you, Peter. Your grades have been declining. You always appear exhausted.
I know, I'm trying.
So where you been, pal? You don't return my calls.
I've been kind of busy.
Taking pictures of your friend. Spider-Man killed my father.
No matter what I do,
do you love me or not?
No matter how hard I try,
I want Spider-Man dead.
It's the ones I love who will always be the ones who pay.
I can't keep thinking about you. I'm getting married.
I want a life of my own. And Spider-Man. No more.
You look different.
I let things get in the way before. There was something I thought I had to do. I don't have to.
I liked seeing you tonight, Peter.
Now on to the main event.
Octavius is going to put Oscorp on the map in a way my father never even dreamed of.
Crazy scientist turns himself into some kind of a monster. 4 mechanical arms welded right onto his body.
You take Spider-Man's pictures. Where is he?
It's taking me off your loyalty to Spider-Man and not your best friend. From Spider-Man to me.
How do I find him?
Peter Parker.
Find Spider-Man, or I'll peel the flesh off her bones.
There are bigger things happening here than me and you.
It has been brought to our attention that there's also Spider-Man 2.1, which is the extended director's cut, which that was interesting. So it had some extended scenes. The elevator scene was an entirely different take with entirely different jokes. There's a scene in 2.1 where J. Jonah Jameson puts on the Spider-Man suit that wasn't in the theatrical cut.
Whoa.
Of course he would.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, same.
And yeah, there's just a few other scenes are a little bit extended, but we are watching Spider-Man 2. The theatrical cut was released June 30th, 2004. A running time of 127 minutes, a budget of $200 million. It took in domestically $789 million.
Oh, crap.
It was a monster hit.
This was probably top 5 when it came out then, and like highest grossing films of all time.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I was up.
That could that's the money for that could almost be another stimulus for the entire country.
Yeah,
practically.
Come on, Raimi, make another Spider-Man movie for us.
Give any of that movie money.
All right. So, and that brings us to the box office top 10. Here is the box office top 10. This is the game. Wherein we will count down the top 10 of the week in which this movie was released, June 25th through July 1st, 2004. And I will describe the movies only by their box office mojo descriptions. And the boys here will try to guess what it was. Normally, I would have them try to guess where Spider-Man 2 opened, but I think that one's kind of a given. It was obviously number 8. No, it was number 1.
Yeah.
So, you guys ready to play the box office top 10?
Yes.
Here we go. Coming
Read
in.
me the answers, Alex.
Coming in at number 10, The Secret. To a wife lies behind the doors of the Men's Association.
The Secrets of the Stepford Wives?
Yes.
I just threw it out, yeah.
Yeah, The Stepford Wives. The one with Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, not the OG.
Yeah, yeah, the remake. Coming in at number 9. Two tigers are separated as cubs and taken into captivity, only to be reunited years later as enemies by an explorer who inadvertently forces them to fight each other.
Sophie's Choice. I want to see this tiger-driven movie.
Right? It's a movie about tigers.
Starring 2 tigers.
It's called Two Brothers. When I saw the title, I wanted to be like, they're brothers. 2 brothers coming from space. And one of them from, Rick and Morty.
One of them is a tiger.
Yes.
The other one is also a tiger.
2 brothers.
Cider House rules.
The Cider House Tigers. Coming in.
Little tiny New England. You princes of Maine.
Okay, so occasionally I try to leave out proper names that will give away the titles of these films, and that I will be doing this time.
Warning.
A man buys a second pet, a dog. However, the dog is abducted, and it is up to his cat to find and rescue the canine.
Garfield 2.
No.
Garfield 1.
Yes!
So Odie gets kidnapped? That's the premise of that?
That's the premise. Odie...
And Bill Murray was like, all right.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I was never sad enough to watch this movie.
Because Bill Murray thought it was the other Coen, the Coen brothers.
Exactly.
So it's like, this has got to be weird, right?
It hurts so much because all of us grew up on those, long comic collection Garfield books.
Oh,
we did
yeah.
at the library, you know. So we grew up on Garfield, and then to show that CGI version was the most insulting thing.
Oh, that was the worst. I hated
My
it.
sister and I used to reenact Garfield comic strips for our family.
That is awesome.
Oh,
I wish even one was recorded.
I know. I would.
My
I would
sister
pay money
was
for
not
that.
for
I would
anything like
absolutely release that as a Patreon bonus.
that. Reminds me, actually, I forgot to do this ahead of time. but I have a small audio clip of Atticus Burkett, one of our executive producers, singing the Spider-Man theme when he was about 3 or 4.
Oh, that's cute.
So I'll try to send it to you after this podcast. You can decide if you want to stick it on, and I'll ask Atticus, but it's pretty cute.
That is awesome. All right, coming in at number 7, Shrek and Fiona travel to the kingdom of far, far away, where Fiona's parents are king and queen, to celebrate their marriage. When they arrive, they find they are not as welcome as they thought they would be.
Clear and
present coming to dinner.
Much ado about nothing.
All of that. I bring up
Yes.
Shrek so much.
To everybody.
That was part 2, right?
Yeah, that was 2. At number 6. Oh, God. Harry Potter, Ron, and Hermione return to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry for their 3rd year of study, where they dive into the mystery.
Change words and names all the time.
Yeah.
But not
What about
Not lead on. You could have just said 2 students or 2 young kids go to...
No, when it's this specific, it's funnier to me than
You're right.
when it's not at all. Where they delve into the mystery surrounding an escaped prisoner who poses a dangerous threat to the young wizard, who may be a dog, and also there's a rat that may be a person.
I think this is my favorite one, Prisoner of Azkaban, right?
Yeah,
That's my favorite one.
it's definitely the best of the films, I think, personally.
Except the Poseidon Adventure.
Yeah.
That's a good Harry Potter movie.
Harry Potter and the Twin Towers.
Harry
Sorry.
Potter and the audacity of this bitch.
Coming in at number 5. An Eastern European tourist unexpectedly finds himself stranded in JFK Airport and must take up temporary residence there.
This is The Tourist, right? Tom Hanks?
Not
It
the
is
tourist.
Tom Hanks.
The Terminal.
Terminal, yes. Yeah. Spielberg. It was weird.
That's true.
What-
It was like 18 years or some shit.
Yeah.
Maybe 8.
He lived
but-
there for a long time.
Yeah. He sure did.
Yeah, this is Tom Hanks playing where is he from? Like Lithuania or something?
The actual man seems to be of Muslim descent. I can't pinpoint one country, but yeah, the original guy, that's part of why he was stuck there. In the Tom Hanks movie, I'm sure they make it a little more charming, but basically it was, where do we send this brown skinned guy? It was
Yeah, I
really
just remember
shitty
Tom Hanks
thing.
having an accent, and it was really weird.
Yeah. He was
It's like him
definitely.
and Catherine Zeta-Jones or something.
Who was it? It was. Yeah, Catherine Zeta.
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah, everyone I've encountered in an airport looks just like Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Why I fly every weekend.
The fucking chilies.
Coming in at number 4, a poor yet passionate young man falls in love with a rich young woman, giving her a sense of freedom. But they are soon separated because of their social differences.
So that's Aladdin. Right?
That's like 50 movies.
But it looked like Al had some. Did you ever guess that?
No, that was my stumped face.
Oh, so many varieties. Collect them all.
They all look the same.
I've been trying.
All I see is Garfield now.
This opened up against, by the way, Two Brothers opened this week. This one opened this week up against Spidey. The Notebook.
Oh, is that what that one was?
Yeah, The Notebook.
Oof.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm already crying inside.
I heard that was popular. I've never seen it.
It was very popular. And the premise is somewhat unique, but it just ends up being a lot of kissing in the rain. Like, I always loved you.
Yeah, a lot of Ryan,
Yeah,
what's his face?
Crying in bed.
Ryan?
Gosling.
Gosling, yeah.
And the Gosling.
And
The goose.
Rachel McAdams. Or Rachel
McAdams.
Yeah.
Both talented people I enjoy watching. So. Yeah.
Was it Nicholas Hornsby? I don't know.
Yes.
No. Yeah.
No, was it? No, not Hornsby. Shit.
Someone I refuse to Google.
Yeah, but it's also a famous name. He's gotten pretty popular. Hornby wrote High Fidelity and About a Boy.
Yeah.
And he's pretty hip, but this guy's Jonathan.
Winters. I don't know.
Jonathan Chick Flick.
Frakes. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just naming Jonathan.
Yeah, let's move on. You
Coming
can
in
look
at
them up.
number 3, a group of misfits enter a tournament in order to save a local thing they like.
Dodgeball.
What'd you say, Josh?
No,
he said
Al.
dodgeball.
Yes, it is dodgeball.
And I was also going to say dodgeball.
Yes.
That was the first date Andrea and I ever went on.
Awesome.
This is the first movie we saw together.
Oh,
and we liked the same stupid shit, so there we have it.
It defined your entire relationship.
Somehow it did. I'm always throwing a bag of wrenches at her.
Moon and I
keep her on her toes.
Moon and I's
Dragging
first
your
date
own
was
piss.
Moon and I's first date was oh my god, it was around this time actually, like a week or two later. We saw Anchorman and Shrek 2 at the Deanza Drive-In.
Funny. Alaric and Andy and I saw Anchorman, the old Catalina, but it wasn't our first. The very first
It was you
time
and Al's
I ever-
first date.
Yeah, not by far. We saw Van Helsing. But even the first time I ever took a girl to a movie, it was The Black Cauldron. I don't know that I was very good at picking. All right.
Like,
I was
ladies love
the Lord of the
cauldrons.
Rings movies. That was when I was in high school. Lots of time to make out.
Would have been, yeah, so long.
How old were you when you took a girl to see The Black Cauldron?
37.
I wasn't very old, and took is probably a misnomer, but it was the first time I asked a girl if she wanted to see a movie. She said yes. Both of our parents agreed and dropped us out. Like, I wasn't cruising around in a T-Bird convertible. But that was the first time it wasn't just a buddy of mine, a friend.
You rolled up on your Huffy.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I just put new pegs on the back.
Nice.
Get on, baby.
Coming in at, oh my god, this was the number 2 movie this week, Jesus. 2 disgraced FBI agents go way undercover in an effort to protect hotel heiresses, the Wilson sisters, from a kidnapping plot.
Oh my
Is this White
god.
Chicks?
It is
Yeah.
White Chicks.
I never saw that
Scariest
movie.
ever made. Me neither.
Me neither.
I saw parts because the group home kids, they liked it, the one I worked at, but I've never seen it.
I just
so
have to
scary.
contribute to me neither.
Yep. Stay away.
Yeah, I think I saw the trailer and went, no,
No, thank you.
Yeah. And we've all mentioned before how we think the Wayne brothers are funny and talented, but that movie is horrific.
It looks terrifying.
Very uncanny valley.
Yeah.
Yeah, the blue eyes.
Oh god.
Ugh.
Yeah. Ugh.
All before CGI. So this is old school, like Eddie Murphy movie style. Like they just painted them white. They put contacts.
Yep.
It's weird.
Breastplates. Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah. It's pretty terrifying. They look
Although
like...
they nailed Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie though, as far as their performances.
Oh sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, wow, it's that same era, the Hotel Heiress thing too. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're commenting on that. The vacuous famous white chick.
Yep. And then coming in at number 1, Peter Parker is beset with troubles in his failing personal life.
Fair enough. It's true. Not exciting, but true.
What the?
Yeah, that description is just
it's,
a lot.
It's pretty
But
spot
does he
on.
learn something?
What? So Jude was flabbergasted by this movie. He was like, "This isn't," because he's grown up with the MCU, so he was kind of like, "This is just a straight up comedy," and I was like, "Basically, yeah."
In some ways, yeah. It was the most of a Sam Raimi movie than any of the Spider-Man movies that he did.
Mm-hmm.
In my
Absolutely.
opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Ella was interested. She had questions as well, but yeah, it's nothing like what they're used to now.
No, it's not. This is one of the most unique superhero films ever made. That doesn't suck. I mean, there's some really bad ones that are very unique, but
and just so I don't forget it later on, they're workshopping names. Ted Raimi and Jay Jonah are workshopping names for Doc Ock, and he says Doctor Strange. Good, but taken. So like just inadvertently acknowledging that Marvel universe. They're in the same universe, Doctor Strange and Spider-Man.
Right.
So that's curious. That was way before the MCU. I don't know if he even planned to use that line. But you know what I mean? Let us know what dimension they're in, what reality.
Right. No, and he acknowledges that. So Doctor Strange exists in the Raimi universe,
Uh-huh.
And it's interesting that Raimi is now going to be directing Doctor Strange too.
Yeah. That's wild. Maybe it was a passion thing. Maybe he always wanted to, so it was a little...
I mean, it's so right up his alley with, like...
For sure.
Evil Dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that was like a little subconscious nudge.
Yeah.
I'm really, really hoping that there's somewhere in the background of Doctor Strange 2, just somewhere, sitting the Necronomicon.
I have a feeling we're going to get some Evil Dead
and
Easter eggs.
It's a mystic object, which is, a lot of Doctor Strange powers comes from objects and atmosphere and things like that.
Yeah.
I'd just be happy with Bruce Campbell, which we're absolutely going to get.
Oh,
absolutely, Bruce. Yeah, without question. So that brings us to the character background. Al.
Yes, time to shine.
Yes, tell us about these characters. We have heard of Spidey. You did tell us about Spidey and Mary Jane previously in the first one, but we have some new guys, I think.
We do. So we've got predominantly Dr. Otto Gunther Octavius, also known as Dr. Octopus or Doc Ock for short.
For his friends.
If you're nasty.
Doc Ock if you're nasty.
Squid Man.
Created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. First appeared in The Amazing Spider-Man number 3. All the way back then. July 1963. In the If This Be My Destiny storyline. Dr. Octavius is a brilliant engineer and inventor with, you guessed it, a genius-level intelligence.
Dun, dun, dun.
Ding, ding, ding.
He's a superb strategist. He would go on to become the founder and core leader of the Sinister Six.
Yes, I love
which was the first supervillain team created to oppose Spider-Man. And that happened all the way back in January of 1964 in The Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 1.
Damn. I love Spider-Man.
As a highly respected nuclear physicist, Dr. Octavius designed a set of advanced mechanical arms controlled via brain-computer interface to aid in his atomic physics research. Inspired by the Vitruvian Man sketch by Leonardo da Vinci.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Stan came up with all that shit. That's crazy. How cool.
The apparatus became fused to his body during an accidental radiation leak and subsequent explosion.
Radiation is everywhere.
Yeah,
in the Marvel universe.
Radiation and explosions fuel the Marvel universe.
It's like it's kept in pickle jars.
Was that overwhelming fear that everybody lived with?
Yeah, absolutely. Cold War shit.
A brain mutation allowed him to control the mechanical arms with the power of only his thoughts.
With the power of friendship.
And the power of love.
Even after being surgically removed, he could telepathically control his mechanical arms from a great distance.
Awesome.
Whoa.
The accident also made his eyes very sensitive to light, requiring him to wear glasses with shaded lenses.
Or goggles sometimes. That's interesting. Yeah. I just thought it was sort of great.
Yeah, I thought it was an aesthetic look.
Right. How cool.
Yeah. Has anyone else noticed that Elton John, as he's gotten older, has become Doc Ock?
With all of his grabby hands.
Imagine the pianos that he could play with all those arms.
Oh, yeah.
All of them. Yeah, like an ELO concert.
Normally depicted as a stocky individual who is not exactly physically fit, Doc Ock's...
He's a chunky monkey.
Doc Ock's mechanical arms make him more than a match for Spider-Man, and he has become one of the web-slinger's most persistent, enduring, and dangerous foes, as described by comics journalist and historian Mike Conroy.
Cool. Sam Raimi nailed it. He made Doc Ock really awesome. Growing up, Doc Ock sort of had the same place as the Penguin in my mind, where it's like I didn't dislike the character, but I never really liked him compared to other villains. But he was well done in this movie.
Always the number 2 to Gabi, just like Penguin was number 2 to Joker. Yeah, I can see that comparison makes a lot of sense.
He just always seemed goofy, even the goggles. But now I know the reason for the goggles, and it's just interesting.
Yeah, we always, I don't know, we tend to identify Gabi, Green Goblin, with Spider-Man more. But as Mike Conroy said, he's the most enduring because Green Goblin died back in the... They killed him off back in the 60s.
Very early,
They revived him every once in a while. He had polio. I don't know. Moving on to Colonel John Jonah Jameson III.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
He's from the comics.
He is from the comics. Son of newspaper mogul John Jonas Jameson Jr. That's a mouthful.
Oh, my Lord. I didn't know that there was a senior.
Yeah. That was kind of new to me as well.
Yeah.
So JJJ the Third first appeared in The Amazing Spider-Man #1 in March of '63. I don't know if this was in that issue, but during John's first mission, he's an astronaut. He's a colonel. During his first mission, mechanical failure caused his craft to plummet to Earth. Spider-Man was able to rescue Colonel Jameson using science.
How else would he do it?
Yeah, totally. But J. Jonah Jr. construed it as a publicity stunt to upstage his son's accomplishment, provoking the first of J. Jonah's editorial denouncements of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So that's how it started?
What, do you have the other backstory of it?
Do I have the other backstory?
Originally, I don't remember what issue it was, but on one of his missions, he was exposed to some sort of radiation on the moon, and when he returned, he became the creature known as Man-Wolf or Wolfman. Or
in later space adventures, Jameson III would be afflicted with a superhuman strength virus.
Why isn't that going around right now?
Yeah, right. Real. Not wear a mask for that one.
That's COVID-20.
Give him the weakness virus.
Then later, he would recover a gemstone, which turned him into the Man-Wolf.
There you go. Gemstone.
And then later, he would acquire the strength of the other realm ruler known as Star God.
Okay.
So he didn't go into journalism?
No.
Like his dad.
No.
All those powers and still not nearly as popular as Spider-Man. Such a disappointment to his father.
Well, and as we learned, being an astronaut football player is just not as sexy as a dorky dude who
his alias is "Who are you?"
Right. A dorky dude who secretes sticky substances from his wrists.
Still not over it. It still bothers me every time it happens.
Same.
It makes sense in some places in this movie, but yeah, terrible choice.
Does it though?
Well, when he loses the abilities. Well, since it is organic,
it makes more sense for him.
If he manufactured them, his mindset wouldn't affect them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Couple of characters that appeared in the first movie that we didn't talk about too much. Joseph Robbie Robertson.
Yeah, they don't explain why he suspects. In the comics, he later on he knows, but they don't explain why he suspects, do they, at all?
Not in the movie.
Okay.
No.
All right. Yeah, Robbie Robertson, leader of the band.
He just has an inquisitive mind.
Yeah. I don't know. Some of those stare downs are like, we could really use Spider-Man. Punk.
He's just a damn good journalist.
He's always protecting him. Yeah, anyways.
Joseph Robbie Robertson first appeared in The Amazing Spider-Man number 51 in August of 1967, created by Stan Lee and John Romita Sr. He's an enduring supporting character of Spider-Man and one of the first black characters in comics to play a serious supporting role rather than a comic relief.
Huh. That's something.
Yeah, I meant to say it at the top, but this might be appropriate. Can we dedicate this show to Chadwick Boseman officially, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I was going to give him a shout out at the end, but yeah. Absolutely, just up top. No.
But yeah, speaking of the first black character, that wasn't a joke, Robbie Robinson. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
Goes out to him.
Yeah, this is for you. Interestingly, ABC is going to be showing Black Panther commercial free.
Oh, cool!
In its entirety, followed by a tribute to Chadwick Boseman.
I watch it often. It's a fantastic comic book movie.
Yeah, and a fantastic movie all around.
Mm-hmm.
Back to
cheer us
Robbie
up,
Robertson. Robbie Robertson is a high-ranking editor at the Daily Bugle who acts as a voice of reason in Jameson's smear campaign against Spider-Man, typically friendlier and more supportive to Peter Parker and other Bugle staffers. And Elizabeth Betty Brandt, portrayed in this movie by Elizabeth Banks,
who I kept thinking was Parker Posey.
Yeah,
the hair.
Yeah.
So Betty Brandt, she first appeared in The Amazing Spider-Man number 4, September of 1963. She was a secretary to J. Jonah Jameson. We first saw her when Peter Parker becomes a freelance photographer at the Bugle. She stood up to J. Jonah over his libelous articles against Spider-Man. And Peter was impressed by that.
He's like, and I have no agenda.
I'm impressed.
Having dropped out of high school to financially help her family, she is impressed by Peter's support of his Aunt May. They did date for a while.
Peter and Aunt May.
And Betty would eventually become an investigative reporter of high regard at the Daily Bugle and a skilled martial artist.
Of course.
All right.
One final note, inspiration for this movie came from Doc Ock's first appearance in the If This May Be My Destiny storyline from 1963, and the Spider-Man No More storyline from 1967.
They recreated the exact shot that John Romita Sr. did. Yeah, it's beautiful.
They did. The spider suit in the trash can with him walking away.
Yeah.
They did
very powerful. Yeah.
Peter Parker quits being Spider-Man because he gets no respect. He's the Rodney Dangerfield of the superhero.
I'm gonna go coach some little girls soccer.
He's all, you buy a hat like that, I bet you get a free bowl of soup.
He gets no respect as Spider-Man no matter how many lives he saves, and his Spider-Man exploits are interfering with his personal life and college grades. The iconic image of the suit in the trash can, blah, blah, blah. The suit, in that storyline, the suit is found and sold to J. Jonah. And the resulting news story prompted a rise in gangland activity. This storyline marked the first appearance of the Kingpin.
Oh,
and this was Amazing Spider-Man number 50. Through 52 was the whole storyline, a 3-issue story arc, but number 50, first appearance of the Kingpin.
Nice.
Cool.
And
rock and roll.
And I would like to point out that there is one other character who technically appears in here, who is a big deal in the Spidey universe. The blonde woman on the train with the baby, it was credited as Gwen Stacy.
Oh. Huh.
That's a cop-out.
Yeah, and weird. Just weird. I don't know if there was some sort of plan with that or if it was just supposed to be an Easter egg. But thank you, Al, for that background. And that brings us to the movie itself. This movie is brought to you by viewers like you. This movie was directed by Sam Raimi, who we have, of course, spoken about numerous times. It was produced by Laura Ziskin and Avi Arad. Hey, this is the 30th anniversary, by the way, of Darkman this week.
Wow.
So,
damn.
Yeah, interesting.
Fuck time.
I should have watched it again.
Yeah. Let's see. Screenplay by Alvin Sargent. Alvin Sargent, who also wrote Ordinary People, Julia, Gambit, I Walk the Line, the 1971, not the Johnny Cash biopic. Let's see. He wrote Nuts, the Barbra Streisand one. Yeah, he did an uncredited rewrite on the original Spider-Man, and he gets credit on Spider-Man 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man. We have a story by Alfred Goh and Miles Millar, who are a screenwriting team. Let's see, they Lethal Weapon 4, Shanghai Noon, Showtime, Herbie Fully Loaded, and the Hannah Montana movie.
Somebody's gotta. There was also the music was by Danny Elfman, cinematography by Bill Pope, and of course we got Tobey Maguire starring as Spidey. Again, he's back. When he signed on for the original one, he had a 3-film contract, but then while filming Seabiscuit, he suffered back injuries. And Sony briefly discussed replacing him for the sequel. It would be so funny if he wasn't the jockey, if he actually played Seabiscuit. That's how his back got hurt.
Because someone was riding on his back?
Yes, and he had to go faster than any other human horse.
Well, there's a subplot in BoJack where he's trying to get the role in the Secretariat movie to play Secretariat, and it's like what was that, Fontaine? Prefontaine. It's basically Prefontaine. But let's see. They were talking about replacing him with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
We've got Kirsten Dunst returning as Mary Jane, James Franco returning as Harry Osborn, Alfred Molina as Doc Ock, Otto Octavius.
So good. He does such a great job.
He is great.
He's the best part.
Good choice.
Of the whole movie.
The first thing I ever saw him in was Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yep.
It was like, throw me the idol, I'll throw you the whip.
Right.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I always forget that that's him.
Mm-hmm.
The role people really forget that's him is the guy at the end of Boogie Nights, the crazy drug dealer they're trying to rip off,
where
who has the Chinese kid lighting firecrackers, and he's trying to get them to get into Sister Christian.
Yes.
That's Alfred Molina, skinny as fuck and just coked out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So Alfred Molina is great. Is in Magnolia. What's he been doing recently? I haven't seen him in a while. Let's see. Most recently, he has been in Frozen 2 as King Agnar.
He had a small part in Dead Man way back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
He was, and probably Coffee and Cigarettes.
Oh yeah. And he did a voice on Ralph Breaks the Internet. We've got the part of Doc Ock was offered to a number of people. A number of people were considered, including Sam Neill, Robert De Niro, and Ed Harris. Ed Harris would have been really weird.
Really weird.
Yeah, all
Sam
those.
Neill?
Sam Neill. I could see Sam Neill. It would have been a different take.
Yeah. I'm not against it. I love Sam Neill.
Yeah.
But wow, it hurts my brain a little bit.
Yeah. Let's see. Molina briefly discussed the role. Was not aware he was a big contender. He was excited. This is hilarious. He was excited being a fan of Marvel Comics, although he was not familiar with Doc Ock. Like, what?
Huh?
Well, I mean, thinking about it back then, people read their comic book. And they didn't read every comic book. Not everybody did that. It's kind of interesting.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Let's see. Rosemary Harris returned as May Parker. Donna Murphy played Rosalie Octavius, Otto's wife. J.K. Simmons is back as Triple J. Daniel Gillies as his son. Bruce Campbell did a cameo here. We got our Stan Lee. Willem Dafoe, spoilers, returns as the fever dream of Norman Osborn. Let's see. Ted Raimi was in here. Elizabeth Banks. We've got Asif Manvi was in here. Joel McHale.
Hal Sparks was the elevator guy.
Hal Sparks, and Scott Spiegel played the guy who tried to steal the pizza.
Oh.
And Emily Deschanel played the receptionist.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Dan Hicks,
the bank teller.
Yeah. Dan Hicks, Chloe Dykstra, and Phil LaMarr were all on the train.
Phil LaMarr, that's right.
John Landis was one of the doctors in the Doc Ock hospital scene.
Daniel Day Kim.
Yeah.
Oh, from Lost.
Yeah. And that's pretty much most of the cast. This movie was reviewed by Roger Ebert.
That's a crazy opening.
This big screen superhero has definitely grown up since I first met him 2 summers ago. I didn't like the original Spider-Man, but this one is a giant leap forward. I was enthralled by Spider-Man 2. It's more vivid, keen, and alive this time. Peter Parker is finding out what all superheroes eventually learn. There's a steep downside to having great powers. It's hard to hold down a job and have a love life when you're defending humanity.
Look at you, Peter. Your grades have been declining. You always appear exhausted. I know, I'm trying.
If that's not enough, there's a new dark force to deal with. Dr. Otto Octavius starts out as an ambitious, devoted scientist who Peter admires, but an experiment gone wrong turns him into Doc Ock.
Find Spider-Man, or I'll peel the flesh off her bones.
Alfred Molina is wild-eyed and over the top as this scoundrel with his deadly tentacles, and that's just how I like my supervillain. Kirsten Dunst returns as the fair Mary Jane Watson. She's a New York actress now and is fed up with Peter's mystery life.
My best friend, who cares so much about me, can't make an 8 o'clock curtain. After all
shit happens.
His motorcycle got run over.
Aunt May, played by Rosemary Harris, shares wisdom with her conflicted nephew.
I believe there's a hero in all of us. Gives us strength, makes us noble. Even though sometimes we have to give up the thing we want the most.
I think director Sam Raimi got just the right balance this time between the superhero's powers and the frailty of the young man behind the web. I gotta tell you, Spider-Man 2 just may be the best superhero movie I have ever seen. The visual effects have a glossy, magical look, and they really do capture the spirit of those original Marvel comic books. The story reflects Spider-Man's insecurities and personal problems. One moment he's saving the world, the next moment he's dealing with unemployment and a depressing love life, or even rescuing kids playing in traffic. I wasn't that impressed with the first Spider-Man movie, but Spider-Man 2 is a completely different story. I give it 4 stars.
What about your
I'm Roger Ebert, ABC 7 News.
Okay.
Well, I agree with Raj.
Yeah, as do I. It's a damn good movie.
Roger was looking a little, I don't know.
He had cancer pretty bad then.
His jaw was soon to be removed. It was very, very sad, Roger.
He worked up until, almost died. After he couldn't speak, he did the column still.
Yeah. So
for the paper.
This might be the last time we actually get to hear from Roger in this show.
Yeah.
Shit.
For our listeners, he passed away in 2013. So you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this, but this was around the time he maybe did actual like on-air reviews for maybe another 6 months to a year after this.
Mm-hmm.
Rest in peace, Roger, and your weird opinions on movies.
Absolutely, rest.
Absolutely. So that being said, this brings us to the movie itself, fellas. Are we ready to jump into this thing?
Dun 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 dun. Yes.
Yeah, because we don't have the ability to swing anymore.
Here we go. This is Spider-Man 2. We open with a credit sequence recapping.
Can I?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Recapping
go ahead.
the first movie.
No, I know. But finish your point, then I'll add to it. I'm sorry I interrupted.
Then we jump into Peter and his job delivering pizza.
All right, so that was my point. I have brought this up with other superhero movies, and I still do now, especially Batman ones. This title sequence caught you up entirely on what happened in the first Spider-Man, with beautiful Alex Ross paintings, by the way.
Yes.
And it wasn't synapses once again. It was the tangled web Spider-Man has woven. But instead of watching Waynes get killed, instead of 20 minutes of exposition, they said, if you want to watch this, let's get started.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
What a tactic.
Like a comic book.
Yeah.
Right.
See issue 1.
Yeah, the little asterisk at the bottom.
Yeah.
This was covered in Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The only other sequel we've seen that just jumped in like this was probably Batman Returns.
Yeah, I think
and
right.
they had the luxury of being the sequel to the biggest movie of like the last 5 years at that time.
And they even made up characters for that movie.
Yeah.
But they still didn't start over.
Yeah. So we jump into Peter and his job delivering pizza. He's having a rough day trying to deliver the pies on time, even with his Spider-Man powers, and he ends up getting fired.
The most Peter Parker thing ever.
Yeah.
All of those elements, right down to having to change in the broom closet. Like,
oh God,
those are the powers Peter face. Those are problems Spider-Man faces.
Well, and this
real life shit like that.
This movie it takes its time with all of those little moments, those little comedic moments, like fumbling with the mops for so much longer than is necessary to make the point.
And never explaining how he got in the closet without her noticing in the first place. Just, that Spider-Man humor.
Yeah, absolutely. So Spidey goes to Triple J to sell some photos, but J. Jonah only wants Spider-Man pics. Peter relents and provides them, but the $300 he earns doesn't even cover the advance he got from Betty Brandt the previous week.
Did we notice that Joe Aziz's pizza competitor is Pizza Yurt?
That's awesome. Pizza Yurt.
It's like I will lose the customer to Pizza Yurt forever.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there were jokes about New York City, jokes about that. Yeah, like immigrants from very foreign countries. I don't know, very what that means. But anyways, opening an Italian restaurant in Brooklyn, or opening what have you. That's a New York joke. And then there's Parker jokes.
I just want to say about Asif Manvi, this is, I think, the first movie he was ever in. I think he kind of just answered a call and was in this movie like the next day kind of thing. I remember hearing him talk about it years ago. But all of the immigrants have the thickest accents. There are no immigrants that have lived here for more than like 15 minutes.
Yes,
so
that's true.
One thing that did also strike me about this movie was the abundance of American flags all over the fucking place.
Yeah,
it was truly right smack dab in the middle of Bush's America.
Yeah.
Well, do you think it was maybe overcompensating for the fact that, Spider-Man was supposed to be released in 9/11 area, and they were so conflicted, and there was controversy?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm giving it more credit than it is.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But
I thought it was interesting because if you made a movie today, all of these immigrants would have had New York accents.
Absolutely.
There's the New Yorkers,
Absolutely. Such a product of its time.
Yeah, his landlord with a thick Russian accent,
Yeah.
The lady singing Spider-Man,
Oh.
The list goes on.
I know immigrants who have been here, have been in the Americas 20, 25 years who still retain their accents.
Oh, yeah, totally. But you also don't notice the people who don't have accents because they blend right in, and there weren't any people who blended right in.
Yeah.
Right.
They all happened to have an accent to distinguish them from the
all American
accents.
Yeah, exactly. All of the people who weren't just of Western European descent had accents.
Yeah.
There were no people of color without accents.
I mean, Aunt May still has her British accent somehow. She's the only exception to that.
And I still to this day have a problem with in my mind that Aunt May wasn't Miss Daisy. So, all right. Peter heads to school. He misses his physics class. I didn't pay attention to what class it was. Something with science. He runs into his professor outside.
Physics related,
Yeah.
His professor tells him he better get his paper on Dr. Otto done on time or he's going to fail the class. Dr. Octavius is his good friend.
Al, do you know who that character was?
Yes, Josh. That professor was Dr. Connors, who would later become the Lizard.
Indeed.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So he might have been setting that up.
Interestingly enough, the original script was supposed to include the Lizard and the Black Cat.
Oh wow.
I'm glad they didn't, because it was long enough as it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that I think that's truly one of the biggest failings of the third movie is just the number of villains. They did a Joel Schumacher and Batman kind of thing. They just amplified the number and it got crazy.
Yeah,
totally.
So, all right. That night, Peter heads to Aunt May's house where Harry Osborn and Mary Jane are waiting for him to surprise him on his birthday. He forgot his birthday.
He forgot his own birthday, yeah.
That happened to me once.
The Delta 88 Classic is still parked in May's driveway.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
As we discussed the Delta 88 in the last during Spider-Man 1.
Mm-hmm.
Which was not called Spider-Man 1. It was just called Spider-Man.
Like the first Battle of Bull Run.
Right.
So they talk about MJ's play that she's in. Harry tells Peter that Oscorp is funding Dr. Octavius's fusion experiments and offers to introduce Peter to the doc. Then he tells Peter that MJ is in love with him, even if Peter doesn't notice. And then he gets all testy about Peter's relationship with Spider-Man because of Spidey killing his dad and all.
He killed my father. Gets all George Bush on him.
My daddy.
My daddy. So later that night, after MJ and Harry leave, he finds a foreclosure notice. Peter does. And then he talks to Aunt May about money troubles. Uncle Ben. Then Peter takes out the trash. Literally, it's a bag of trash. Finds Mary Jane just hanging out on the stoop next door. They talk and flirt. Peter won't close the deal, and eventually MJ gets tired of putting out signals and tells Peter she's dating somebody. Peter offers to come see her play the following night. There's a lot of self-inflicted damage with Peter in his relationship with MJ.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And then some Superman Lois stuff later on.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, don't tell her you're going to go see it. Just go see it.
Just go see it.
I interpreted a lot of the self-inflicted stuff as him not understanding that he is protecting her.
Yeah, that was the motivation. You're
right.
But it was just, it seemed so awkward and uncomfortable. It did not seem heroic.
Well, he kept changing his mind, and people can change their mind in their mind, but he's constantly telling her one thing to her face and then the next thing to her face.
Right. No, by the last time, like when they're in the cafe at that point, when he's like, it's like, motherfucker.
Right. We're here because you said the other thing.
And now you're like, no, opposite? Like, fuck you.
He's all got pranked.
Well, and then there's that point in the middle where he's like, I'm going to start reading poetry in order to woo her. It's like, you don't have to fucking woo her. Just stick with one thing.
I'm going to be a different man.
She already loves you.
Yeah, she's already
poetry.
She's already into you. You don't have to go through that.
Your poetry reading sucks.
Anyways, so he heads home to his crappy apartment in the city where his Russian landlord and his pigtailed daughter are waiting for him. The landlord wants the rent. Peter doesn't have it. The landlord takes his last $20. The daughter flirts with Peter, and then he retires to his apartment to be sad for a while. He's got the little windows in his door to his apartment so people can like see what he's doing at all times.
Conveniently.
It doesn't help when you're Spider-Man with a secret identity and people can just peek in at you.
Yeah.
He's got an apartment with a shared restroom.
Yeah.
That's not uncommon.
No, it's not uncommon, but he has it. And it lends to a cute little bit in the morning when his landlord slips into the bathroom before he does, then opens the door. He's like, rent?
Yeah.
And then just shuts the door on him again.
He's like, and FYI, I bombed out that toilet.
And I think it's plugged up. Hope someone calls the landlord. Oh, snap, that's me. I ain't going to fix it.
Looks like Afghanistan in there.
Like $400, $500 in New York versus $4,000 or $5,000.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For just the bathroom.
Yeah. Oof. It led me to wonder why he just doesn't fucking stay in Queens with Aunt May.
For real, he doesn't want to be a burden on her.
Yeah.
And he wants to be a photojournalist.
I mean, he could pay Aunt May rent.
Yeah. I mean, well,
that would have solved.
He couldn't
both of
be
those
himself
problems.
around her, though. He couldn't be himself. He couldn't.
He also wants to be a scientist. He wants to be a college student.
And he wants to dance.
Yeah. Peter really doesn't know what he wants. Like in any way. Yeah. He really doesn't.
Which is a real life problem. That's a young man's problem. But yeah, you're right.
Absolutely. I know. I think this movie, especially on a script level, nailed Peter Parker better than anything I've seen before or since.
Hands down.
Tobey Maguire's portrayal is often bizarre, but on paper, this is absolutely the best Peter Parker, period.
But he's so weird that he is entertaining to a degree.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That dude is crazy.
You can't help but watch.
Yeah, I think it's a weirdness he's not aware of.
No,
you couldn't pick a better Peter Parker for a Sam Raimi movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a great way to put it.
Absolutely. This is evil. Yeah, the dude that made Evil Dead. Absolutely.
Yeah, because Sam Raimi needs you to not care too much about the main character.
Yeah,
in any of his movies. And not an anti-hero thing, but it's like don't focus so much on them.
Yeah, he's not that important. The next,
take the elephant.
The next day, Harry introduces Peter to Doc Otto. Peter and the Doc hit it off. He explains his invention is like a miniature sun that will provide eternal power. Peter,
and he's like, and we've mastered fusion, or we did something with fusion, and some woman is like, lovely. It's like, lovely? How'd you get in here?
I love that Doc Ock goes, go on, and Peter says one thing to him, and then he explains the rest.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was very much this is our MacGuffin explanation part of the movie. Let's just get through this.
And I want all of you to be here, including my wife, who doesn't seem to participate in activating this machine. She's just there to hide and die.
Yeah, she's just motivation.
No, she comes up at one point and is like, you're doing great. And like, that's all she does.
Like a little league coach.
Well, I like that about Doc Ock in the beginning, where you see him. He was an artist and a scientist, and his art was science.
He was a Renaissance man. He was benevolent. Yeah.
We get that with the poetry and all that stuff too.
It's like Mr. Freeze, you know. But no, really. But they took the time to make it
well done.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah. It's very similar to Mr. Freeze, actually. If Mr. Freeze wasn't
his
awful.
life, his experimentation, his science, society didn't let him conduct his experiments.
His wife
killed
and his
wife.
experimentation. They were going to bondage clubs. And
yeah, but those two elements, you know?
Yeah.
Like, nobody actually killed her, but he wants revenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, his hubris or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Peter worries the experiment will be dangerous. The doc and his wife assuage his fears. Then the doctor gives Peter some advice about life and love.
Let me tell
poetry.
And poetry. Later, Peter does his laundry, and he gets ready to go see Mary Jane's play.
It was cute. He's washing his spider suit with his whites.
Yeah.
Right, he can't afford separate loads.
Yeah, he can't afford separate loads.
Exactly.
What does he expect though? His whites get stained.
Yeah.
Yeah, such a legit. I'll try to stop saying this, but you know, that happens to all of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's great.
That's real life. Yeah.
It's a mistake you make hopefully only once. Washing your Spider-Man suit with your underwear.
So on the way, he gets distracted by some criminals in a high-speed chase, and he has to do the Spidey thing. He gets to the play too late and misses it, thanks to Mr. Bruce Campbell.
Very comical.
That was a great Bruce Campbell scene.
Well, this is the big moment of them selling him as Mysterio, possibly in the future, is him getting in Spider-Man's way and ruining his life in Peter's way.
Yeah. Wow.
God, Bruce Campbell's Mysterio would have been amazing.
I've read so many theories about that on the internet where I'm just like, I could see them building the stepping stones to that point.
I liked that MJ's play was the importance of being earnest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was just drove that point home a little bit.
Because let me tell you, Peter Parker in this movie is nothing if not fucking earnest.
Earnest, yeah. It's true.
Ernest goes back to college.
Not Ernest.
The importance of being earnest. Hey, Bird!
The importance of being earnest saves Christmas.
The importance of being earnest saves Christmas.
You know what I mean, Doc Ock?
You know what I mean? That's a hilarious joke. God. The importance of being here.
So, all right. He waits for MJ. That's when we see the Asian woman singing his theme song.
Well, MJ notices the empty seat, and I think before the play, she even says to a fellow actor that someone important's coming. And I just wanted someone to be like, Mort Guffman?
From the Times? Then
Peter stole that car from the criminals.
Yeah.
But he rolls up in a stolen car and parks it illegally.
So that's what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then when it's threatened to be towed, he says whatever.
Yeah.
That was fun. But yeah, Al's right.
That was a car.
Yeah.
He can swing building to building.
When MJ emerges from the play, he sees her greeted by her new boyfriend. Peter leaves without speaking to her and consoles himself with some web slinging. However, his powers seem to fail him mid-swing, and he can't seem to sling the webs no more.
He can't shoot webs while crying. That's the problem.
That's it.
Just crying under the mask the whole time.
You can't be a wuss.
He crashes, and he has to take an elevator to the street and walk home dejectedly.
So this was like a big thing in the Spider-Man comics. Josh, you know what I'm talking about, how he would run out of web fluid.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Often, yes. He would run out of web fluid, which he made himself, which was in a web slinger attached to his wrist. but it was like running out of gas, essentially.
Yes.
So they threw in that element, which was, I'm glad they did because it was a big element in Spider-Man, but still the biological web fluid
right
thing, the subconscious I'm losing my powers thing.
Yeah. His virility is failing him.
Yeah, it's a weird erectile dysfunction joke throughout the
finish it out.
second act.
It was really.
It was off-putting. It never sat well with me.
I can dig that. It was used to illustrate his state of mind, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, they did at least utilize that in this one to do something with it. But nonetheless, it's weird that his own body secretes that fluid.
Yeah. Yes. Biowebs are weird and gross.
Yeah. The elevator scene was fun, like we were talking about before. There were two different elevator scenes. Brian saw one. I think the rest of us saw the other one. The one in the theatrical cut, he talks about how the suit rides up in the crotch.
Yeah,
I do remember that.
Yeah,
gets kind of itchy.
Yeah,
rides up in the crotch. But he starts off with a cool Spidey outfit. Where'd you get it? I made it.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's also a seamstress in addition to a pizza delivery guy and a scientist and a photojournalist.
Yeah. Much like Sylvester Stallone in Demolition Man, he's a seamstress.
Yeah, the extended cut had the PR man giving him all these suggestions on how
snapping thing.
Yeah, he's snapping his finger so much. Yeah, he does make a good point though. Have you thought about moving beyond print?
Right.
Like Spider-Man's only in the newspaper, maybe television, or radio even.
Yeah, well, no. My favorite line from the extended version was, I don't know, hammocks because they're kind of like webs.
What? All this sounds fun. I don't know.
It's on YouTube.
Spider-Man hammocks. That would be great.
Yeah, it's on YouTube if you want to see the extended cut version of it. So the next day, Peter calls MJ to apologize for missing her play, but he gets the machine and leaves a long, rambling message. She is not placated. Guys, don't leave long, rambling messages when you
No.
Yeah, it leaves
never at
to
night.
be desired.
Yeah.
Never drunk.
And I thought this was interesting. This was 2004, so he doesn't have the money to have a cell phone in 2004.
Yeah, we still call him from payphone.
There were no cell phones in this movie.
No.
Yeah.
Everything was payphone.
And in 2004, they were very prevalent. I mean, pretty much everyone had a cell phone at that point. They were either a brick or, a razor. But
yeah, no.
And he only truly confides in the answering machine after he's run out of coins and he knows he's not recording anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That afternoon, Peter and Harry, along with the press and a bunch of science guys, watch Doc Ock's big science show. He unveils his special robot arms attachment that have to pierce his spine with needles to work.
Right.
That seems invasive.
Also, like in Swamp Thing 2, is that technology not good enough?
Right?
Yeah, that was impressive.
It's like one step further.
But nonetheless, you have to let it pierce your spine with needles for it to work.
And connect to your spinal column, your cortex. Yeah, it's crazy.
And, apparently, in the filming of this, for that shot, they used actual needles.
Whoa.
And actually pierced his skin?
I believe so, yeah.
That's crazy.
Not his spinal cord, but at least his skin.
It was done on a dare.
Yeah, they didn't use like a pig or something to do the close-up shots. Like, oh my God. Like a dead pig. Not a living pig.
Or a fake human back made by the special effects department.
Yeah.
No.
Nope, they went and got a pig.
Someone's gonna get hurt.
Well, and it's got the firewall thing.
Yeah.
It's just like a single glowy LED Lego.
It has the McAfee on it. Yeah.
The inhibitor chip.
The inhibitor chip. Thank you.
Yeah. Because they have an AI, And if the inhibitor chip isn't there, the AI will take over your brain.
If it was an uninhibitor chip, he would just be in a silk robe drinking wine, laying down
4 bottles at a time.
So again, this seems like a lot for what is essentially like some like robot arms to pick stuff up.
Okay, so the robot arms are impervious are impervious to magnetism and heat.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're specially designed.
Obviously. Those are not off the rack. Those are not off the rack.
Yeah, no, he didn't get them from Walgreens.
Pier 1.
JC Penney's, yeah.
It was on clearance.
Yep.
I'm just wondering if maybe Doc Ock was not seeing the forest for the trees when he designed these.
Seriously.
What were you saying, Al? What were you saying, though, Al?
Oh, I was just saying that they were impervious to heat and magnetism.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
That's all. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I feel he probably could have made them impervious to heat and magnetism, and not having to pierce his spinal column with AI that could take over his brain.
Could have.
He controlled them.
Yeah. So much of that was like the Chekhov's gun kind of thing. Like, we're going to describe this whole thing so that later you'll understand why he's able to recover as a good guy for a moment.
Yes. So, all right. So he has his robot arms, and then he starts up his fusion machine, which goes bad. Peter changes into Spidey to save everybody from the big explosion of the miniature sun, which he made on the Upper West Side?
On a dock, or on a warehouse on the docks?
No. That's later on with his secret place. This isn't the same building, is it?
I thought it was.
Really?
I didn't think so. I thought it was. Yeah, I thought it was somewhere else.
Because they were like afterwards, they come outside and it's like a brownstone.
Yeah.
It was blown up. I thought it was the same place.
No, I thought it was. I thought that was just a random like empty boathouse he found down by the docks. I thought this because when they come outside and there's the ambulance there on like just a New York street and it's like a brownstone behind him.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think there were two locations. I thought it was really interesting that Peter predicted this happening, and on his little like doodle of him doing the math as to how this would overreact, his doodling of like, oh, this is going to be a terrible crisis. He is drawing, and it becomes MJ. He starts writing MJ. He is so distracted by Mary Jane Watson that he does not do something about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
During the meltdown of the mini sun, Harry flaps his arms around about being in charge.
Oh God, Harry's the worst in this.
And he has to get saved by Spider-Man because the sun is sucking in all the metal.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's the one computer panel that is about to slam into Harry, and Spider-Man saves him.
Right.
He's just like, this doesn't make us even, or something like that.
This doesn't change anything.
Yeah, this doesn't change anything.
Yeah. Harry's a super dick in this. I mean, I can kind of understand why.
Yeah. His name is Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why.
Yeah, he had a really shitty dad.
I mean, it wasn't all goblin stuff. Imagine if he drew on the wall as a kid or broke something important.
The ongoing joke that Jude has about these Raimi movies is William Dafoe and how much he loves Peter Parker. He's constantly saying, "You're like the son I never had," and Harry's like, "Dad."
Yeah,
I'm right here.
I love Jude's takes on these movies.
Yeah,
so much.
No, it's really fun to watch these. So the miniature sun, I looked it up. Suns aren't especially magnetic except for neutron stars.
Correct. It's more gravitational because of the sheer mass of the sun.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, it pulls it into its orbit.
Yeah.
Well, and the core was what, tritium?
Yes, or MacGuffin crystal.
Yeah, some Marvel chemical.
Yeah.
It's his precious tritium.
Wasn't that the stuff that they used to power the Enterprise? I forget.
Dilithium.
That's
and there's only like 25.
Which makes so much more sense.
I swallowed one.
Ouch. Yeah. He said there's only a few pounds of this on Earth. Let's see. Doc's wife dies from glass. The robot arms fuse permanently
to the face.
Yeah,
to the face.
Glass to the face.
Very Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
Can't take a glass to the face.
The only thing that wasn't Sam Raimi is we didn't actually see the glass enter her face.
Yeah. I'm sure there were mock-ups of how that shot was going to be done.
I'm sure Sam Raimi and the studio entered into some sort of negotiations about whether he could shoot that.
Yeah, because the scene that's about to come up is unadulterated Raimi, and
it's my favorite point in the movie.
Sort of scary, sort of edgy.
Yeah.
So there might have been a compromise in there.
Yeah, absolutely. The robot arms fuse permanently. The McAfee software chip gets exploded, and then
John McAfee.
Oh, that dude.
The McAfee chip. Okay, I'm sorry. Go on.
And then Spidey finally shuts off the mini sun. He saves Harry.
He has a really hard time unplugging the power cable. It's not like plugging a USB in.
Yeah.
It's like he's just unplugging some power cables.
Well, the problem was it was like in the old school ones where you had to like unscrew the things on the side before you could pull it out.
Oh, right. Yeah, those.
Good point. It's like safety collars.
Yeah. So in the hospital, Doc wakes up and with the help of his new robot arms, kills a bunch of surgeons and escapes into the street. And this is
a surgical. Yeah, go ahead.
Was amazing. It reminded me of Independence Day, where they're operating on the alien.
Oh yeah.
This humor amongst the operating team and that quiet feedback sound, that little sizzle hum that grows until something moves.
Yeah. Well, and Doc Ock's tentacles when they're acting on their own were truly scary. That's messed up.
And not only was it Raimi-esque, but I believe it was an actual reshot of either Evil Dead or Army of Darkness. But the characters scraping their nails across the floor and being dragged, and it just looked so painful and so cringy.
I can't think of a scarier scene in a superhero movie.
They achieved that effect by the floor being made of wax.
Awesome.
Makes sense, yeah.
That's cool.
And the Sam Raimi, the director trademark of the chainsaw.
Yep, the surgical chainsaw.
The surgical chainsaw.
Yes.
Which we didn't mention during Spider-Man 1, but in the wrestling scene, the dudes had the cardboard chainsaws.
Yeah.
That they were pretending to cut their arms off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Direct link to Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Direct homage to his own movie.
Well, it would have been great if he was like, do we have the surgical chainsaw? No, but the bone saw is ready.
And it's Macho Man. Jumps out of the shadows.
He's like, oh yeah, I went to John Hopkins. Oh yeah.
You're going to cry a river of bones.
No, they made surgical gowns that large.
All right. Doc Ock runs amok for a bit outside, then finds his way down to the river where he makes his home in an abandoned boathouse.
Yeah, he's just sitting on the dock of the bay.
He just felt like that. It's crazy that like no one notices him like on this very wide open boathouse, like on the Hudson River,
or getting there.
Yeah,
which is half collapsed into the river.
Yeah,
which is why I was confused as to this was potentially his first lab where all the shit went down before.
Yeah,
because it was half collapsed. I thought that was the site of the accident.
I agree.
I may have to look at it again, but that I never connected that. I always thought it was an entirely different place.
Yeah.
And I'd swear when they come out, it's not collapsed and it's a brick building they're coming out of.
I was kind of 50-50 on it. When I watched it the second time, I was like, wait, is that the same place? Or is that just a collapsed boathouse?
Yeah.
On the river that he just came across. I don't know.
I think they did a great job because Doc Ock is on his fugue state wandering thing.
Yeah.
His costuming, he walks out of the hospital and he's still in the surgical robe or the surgical gown. Or his operating gown, whatever. And then you see him here and it's tattered and torn. And like there's these phases of costuming for him instead of just him being a guy in like an evil guy's suit. It was really neat. It was a cool detail that they took time to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They paid attention to what he actually would have been wearing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, these movies have a problem with that over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
They're suddenly in new clothes inexplicably.
Yes.
It helped add a little bit of realism where it otherwise would have been hard to have that, you know.
Yeah.
Him in a trench coat all of a sudden, like, where the hell did you get a trench coat, man?
London fog.
The next day, Jay Jonah runs a story about Doc Ock. He tells Peter he wants him to take pictures at the big planetarium gala where his astronaut son will be the guest of honor. We got a superhero ball coming up, boys.
Yep. Always
Ted Raimi / Hoffman. That was a fun scene where he walks in, and it's a running gag where Jonah like yells for Hoffman, and he's just right there.
Yeah,
and he's kind of like surprised. But Hoffman suggests Dr. Octopus, and Jonah says, "That's crap." And then he says like science squid. Doctor Strange. Then we got the Doctor Strange things. Like, that's pretty good, but it's taken. I got it. Dr. Octopus.
Yes.
That reminds me. The pizza shop is on Bleecker Street, which is where Dr. Strange lives.
That's right.
You're right. They do mention Bleecker. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
The pizza shop was like 233 Bleecker. I forget what Strange's address is.
I think it was the same address. I think I saw a note on that it was actually the same address as
221B
Dr. Strange's place.
Interesting. Huh. So, all right. Meanwhile, Doc Ock is communicating with the AI he built into the arms, which is telling him to do things, bad things. The arms tell him to continue his research and to get the money for the research by robbing a bank.
And the arms are like squeaking at him.
Yeah.
Like to his face.
Yeah.
Just doing little squeaky things.
Yeah. It's like if Jeff Dunham's dummies turned on him one day.
Right.
I was thinking Muppets, and they're just like, it's for cookie.
Yeah, sock puppets.
Yeah. Have you guys seen that Jim Carrey show, Kidding?
No.
Oh, he does sock puppets. I did see the pilot of that.
He basically plays Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
But if Mr. Rogers had a psychotic breakdown and went out of his mind, it is so dark and freakish.
Yeah.
But
What's it on?
But it's on. Well, you have to have an ad on. It's Showtime, but I'm watching it on Hulu.
Gotcha.
But it has like a lot of Muppets and singing, but extraordinarily dark
and uncomfortable
and like involuntary manslaughter. But anyways,
God,
yeah.
That happened in a Muppet movie. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there was definitely some involuntary manslaughter somewhere behind the scenes of the Muppets.
Miss Piggy, you know.
Across town, Aunt May is being turned down for a loan by a young Jeff Winger when the bank is attacked by Doc Ock. Peter slips away to become Spider-Man, and they fight. Peter has some web-slinging troubles, and Doc Ock gets out with a couple bags of cash.
Yeah, not much.
But so why did that bank have so many bags of gold coins? Or was that a pirate bank? Like,
obviously. Don't you know you don't rob a pirate bank?
Yeah, all I could think was like, is that Nazi gold or something? What is this? Like,
do banks in the modern era have big vaults just full of bags of cash?
I can't even get them to take rolled change that I rolled. It's happened several times. Like, we don't accept that. You don't accept money in the bank?
What is a bank then?
I don't know.
So the cops arrive and the Doc takes Aunt May hostage, climbing a building. He and Spidey do battle, and Doc Ock ends up escaping while Peter rescues Aunt May.
Stanley cameo as man dodging debris.
Yes.
This whole scene was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was good.
Just beautiful.
It was really...
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, all the action in this movie was really great.
And the animation. It worked out really well.
It did. It looks slightly aged now, but I mean, that's just because it was from 2004. It's very good. It holds up pretty well for 2004 CGI.
Yeah, they're moving pretty quickly up and down that building, the side of the building.
Yeah.
It looked really cool.
Once they were no longer horizontal, it made it so much more interesting. Every scene with Doc Ock and Spider-Man where you had to kind of turn your head a little bit made it so much more fun to watch.
Absolutely.
And they always had them.
And I
fighting up and down the building.
Yeah. And I have to give it to Raimi. So many CGI fight scenes are just kind of an explosion of ridiculousness at your face.
Right.
But like these, I mean, it being Sam Raimi, this is very interestingly framed. All the action was easy to follow and kinetic. Very good.
And like in the comics, he recognized that unless the foe could actually fly by one way or another, very few villains could follow Spider-Man wherever he goes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doc Ock could go wherever he went. So that added such an element. He never got a chance to regroup like he always did with other villains.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always throwing stuff at him.
The arms being so fast and kinetic just worked.
It did.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. They made it. They made it work.
Aunt May worked. Everything she did was cool.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, absolutely. Hanging out.
And we didn't mention it, but in the comics at one point, she marries Otto Octavius.
Yes. Yeah. I did forget to mention that. They almost marry.
Oh, okay. All right.
She's a solid 30 years older than him in this.
And he's hot for teacher.
He was
like,
apparently
Aunt May I?
Been there, done that.
Ooh.
At some point, Aunt May inherited an island, and Doc Ock was trying to marry her to gain possession of said island.
All right, but he's a villain, and he usually just takes shit. But he's like, no,
just go
I'm gonna
there,
do the
take it
long
over.
con. She's gonna sign it over.
He wanted to do it legally, I guess.
It's like
this once. Just this once.
I don't need that extradition bullshit.
Any reason to wear a tuxedo.
So that night at the big gala, Peter is taking pictures of all the important people. Harry's getting drunk and surly, and then
and acting like what we sort of imagine James Franco probably acts like.
Right. Yeah.
Slapping people, talking shit,
throwing a fit in public. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
he just slaps Peter twice.
Twice. Hardcore slaps. Of course, the robot known as Toby does not react, but 2 hard-ass slaps.
Yeah. Oh, man. So then JJ's astronaut son shows up and surprises Peter as his date is Mary Jane.
What?
Peter gets her alone and tries to recite poetry.
Badly.
He's all, quote the raven, nevermore.
No, I like he
was brillig and the slithy toves.
Yeah, that came rapping at my chamber door.
I love how Angela says, I've been reading poetry. She's like, whatever that means.
Yeah, exactly. Good for you.
Like, fucking Yeats? Are you kidding me? Jesus, what year is it?
Right?
It's not the reading of the poetry that impresses women, Pete.
Yeah.
It's like saying to a nuclear physicist, I read A Brief History of Time.
Yeah.
Doesn't that count?
But again, if he had simply told her he liked her and stuck with it, he wouldn't have had to have read poetry to try to impress her.
Yeah, dumb.
Yeah. All he had to say was, I love you too.
Yeah.
Love you too. That's all he had to say.
I love the effect of him getting slapped, him seeing Mary Jane, him reading poetry. Just 3 gut punches one right after the other, and he is not aware that he has anything to do with any of it. He just feels like the victim the whole time.
Exactly.
Totally.
And the running gags of him not being able to get the hors d'oeuvres, and he gets a drink and it's empty.
Yeah.
Yes. So all right. So yeah, Harry.
Well, and he's shocked this gorgeous woman he's been in love with his whole life has moved on and found somebody.
Exactly.
He can't fathom that. He's like, oh, she's not living in some sort of romantic hell, pining for what she wants like me.
Right, because he rejects her over and over again. Yeah, exactly. So then he's shocked when astronaut J. Jonah,
Mike Dexter,
yes, announces that him and MJ got engaged.
He talks about throwing a football on the moon, which means that in this universe, we were still going to the moon, and that just broke my heart a little bit.
I know.
He met the Zod squad up there.
Played a quick pickup game.
Game of touch football.
Some footballs together.
Yep.
So Peter goes out as Spidey, but his powers start to fail him completely. His eyesight reverts to its pre-superhero nearsightedness. And meanwhile, Doc Ock finds some science machine supply companies that take unmarked bills and start building
gold coins.
They take gold coins. Yeah.
Yeah. Did he buy that and then go to another bank and start a checking account?
Well, and it's not like he ordered these things on the internet. He went to a science supply place.
Yeah, it's like buying a murder kit at Walmart. It's just like, what are you up to with this? Nothing.
Why did he have?
Oh, we lost you. What was it?
Oh, I don't know why he robbed the bank. He could have just robbed the science supply places.
Right. Exactly. Unnecessary middleman.
Yeah, showing up with bags of coins with these metal arms.
Taxes.
Yeah, well,
people are going to ask questions.
It's because
he respects the science people and the science supply stores, so he wants them to get their money. He doesn't want to rob them.
It's not a bad point.
He's all shopped locally.
Yeah, it's
and he's still inside, I guess, the arms.
Right, him. Yeah, that's true.
That's right.
Fuck the banks. I want to pay the scientists.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's really about capitalism.
Always.
So then,
isn't it all? Yeah.
So he starts building his machine. Then the next day, Peter goes to see a doctor because his powers have disappeared.
The strangest doctor ever.
Yeah, the doctor who's like, listen, man, life's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, I've met those doctors that are kind of quote unquote hip, where they do wear sort of a fun T-shirt under their
steal your face shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Patch
He's
Adams.
tripping on acid.
He sits down to rap like he's his college roommate.
He's like, let me tell you something about the pop, man. You may think it's all groovy, but that jazz don't fly.
He's like, I'll write you a prescription, but you can't get it at a pharmacy. You got to hit the right bodega.
I'll write you a prescription, man. It's called Getting It Together.
And also penicillin. You have a touch of the VT.
Right.
And Pete was all like, I had this dream. No, wait, it was my friend's dream.
Yeah.
And the doctor's like, how stupid do you think I am?
Yeah, exactly. Basically, telling the doc. But they do have privilege.
Well, and the doctor seems to know that he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He picks that up
10
seconds into that dream conversation.
I feel like there's a lot of subtext in this movie of a lot of people. He's not very good at hiding he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Aunt May, the dude from the Daily Bugle, the doctor, a lot of people just know he's Spider-Man. They're just kind of not saying it. Yeah.
I felt like Aunt May didn't know until later. I don't know. It was weird because her comment to him, when he says, we did a great job. And she goes, we?
Yeah.
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 Oh, yeah. Wow, good point.
Yeah.
Because if that had been Peter, she would have been like, you sound like my grandson.
Yeah, that's so crazy. You're right. She's like, I didn't see you on the building.
Well, yeah, no, yeah. And then, and she's like, and she says, I was so wrong about you at that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like she didn't know till later. But when she's giving him that big speech, it seems like she knows, because if she doesn't, then that's the most off-the-wall speech any woman can give to her nephew.
Yeah, she's basically explaining that the world needs Spider-Man more than you need Peter.
Yeah.
Well,
So, get out of your head and figure it out.
I think that she puts it together after he tells her his story, because Spider-Man didn't really exist until Uncle Ben dies.
Right.
Yeah.
Uncle Ben is Spider-Man.
There it is.
There it is. That's why he never came home.
Yeah.
He bought a pack of radioactive spiders and just never came.
Tale as old as time.
So the doctor basically tells him his problems are psychosomatic, but he doesn't have to do anything or take on any responsibility if he don't wanna. Peter has a Superman 2 style Uncle Ben conference and decides to stop being Spider-Man and throws away his costume.
Yeah, he's not even dreaming at that point. He just wills Uncle Ben into his conscious and talks to him, and he's just like, "No, sorry, Ben."
Yeah, he made him up just to win an argument.
I ain't gonna do what you said no more.
This isn't the last hallucination from a character in this movie, though.
No, it's not. No, they see their dead father figures a lot. In this movie.
Yeah, they do.
So then it's montage time. This is, I feel like this is the best scene in the movie. The raindrops keep falling on my head montage.
Uh-huh.
And at the end, it freezes like
Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid.
Yeah.
It was totally an homage to that.
Well, yeah.
We're gonna get our shit together.
There's a bicycle.
After the iconic throwing the spider suit in the trash can.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But they show how he no longer has his spider sense. He is very clumsy and uncoordinated, can't see.
Fixes his bike.
It was fun.
He ignores crime. The police run by him. He just eats the hot dog and turns away.
Yeah, with the hot dog with nothing on it.
Yeah.
So the vocal stylings of B.J. Thomas.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, great song.
He goes to school, goes to Mary Jane's play. Then afterwards, he and Mary Jane talk. He tries to convince her that he's changed and they should be together. MJ tells him she's engaged and she's been burned by him too many times, which good on her.
Yes.
Yeah.
She notices that he's changed. I kind of got the feeling that she was turned off by the change.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think she meant you're not the Peter I knew. You're way more selfish and self-absorbed. And you can't think of anyone but yourself. So he thinks he's changed for the better. She's like, yeah, you have changed.
Yeah.
My friend would have been there to talk to me.
He explicitly says, I got to do this for myself.
Yeah.
A number of times through that sequence.
Yeah.
It's too much of a burden.
And that was kind of
build a fortress of solitude.
That was kind of a thing from the Spider-Man No More storyline, is that when he did give up being Spider-Man, nothing really worked out for him. Nobody had the time for him anymore. It just, even giving up Spider-Man, ironically, it just, he did not retain, he couldn't return to his former life.
Yeah, you can't go back. Once you've been through the looking glass, you can't go back.
Yeah.
Right.
So then meanwhile, a garbage man has found Spider-Man's outfit and sold it to J. Jonah. Peter then witnesses a mugging, feels bad that he can't help, but decides not to call the cops.
Did anybody notice how small Spider-Man's suit looked in Jonah's hands?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is very stretchy.
It is very stretchy, and it's supposed to be very form-fitting and tight, but it just looked like a kid's costume.
It did.
Yeah.
In his hands.
That mugging scene was hilarious because of the amount of people that were absolutely ignoring the hell out of it.
Yes.
So then he and Aunt May visit Ben's grave. They go back to her house where he tells her that it was his fault Ben was killed. Aunt May, like the stone cold bitch she is, just walks out on him.
Oh, that's intense, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, this did not feel like a realistic situation. to me at all. Just her being that mad that she would walk away because all they have is each other.
Well, right, but I don't think she would have been upset if Ben died in an accident that maybe Peter caused or was involved in. But he mentions money and he mentions revenge, and she's probably thinking to herself, I raised you your whole life, and those are the values you have, more so than Ben dying. The other guy shot Ben, not Peter, but just like those were your motivations after everything we've taught you.
It's the classic, I'm not angry, I'm disappointed.
She had to process that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She needed time.
She's not a yeller, I guess.
Right.
She's a lecturer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is she ever?
And it's the two most important people in her life.
Yeah.
Now she found out one of them was responsible for the other's death. That's heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, in his shack on the Hudson, Doc Ock is just about done with his machine, but he still needs the special MacGuffin sauce. He visits Harry and threatens him for some crystal.
On that balcony. So much happens on that balcony. Right. Just lock the windows, dude.
He threatens Harry. Harry agrees to give him the crystals if he brings back Spider-Man. Harry tells the Doc that Peter will know how to contact Spidey, but not to hurt Peter. So then, Peter saves a little girl from a flaming building.
All right, I have a couple things here. When he first finds her, that's obviously a very young baby. Then they show her again, and she's a toddler. And then back on the street, she's a tiny baby again, all swaddled up.
Right.
And do you remember from the first movie, there was this situation, and Willem Dafoe was upstairs with a blanket on, crying?
Yeah.
It would have been hilarious if they showed the swaddled baby and moved the blanket, and it was a little William Dafoe's face.
She helps him. She helps pull him up. From a ledge.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, he's struggling to get up, and she pulls him.
Right.
Yeah.
He is at least 150 pounds.
Just
what I thought was funny about this scene is that he's outside. He talks to the African-American dude with the dreadlocks, runs in, and then after he gets this child, runs out and just hands her to the first Asian couple he sees.
Like, we don't have children.
Does anyone know whose baby this is?
You must know.
You saved it.
Well, and they're speaking Japanese, or what I assume was Japanese, to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I don't know. They're fresh off the boat.
So yeah, all right. He learns that another person died in the building, and he's beginning to regret giving up his powers. Later, Ursula, the landlord's daughter, gives him some chocolate cake and a message from his aunt.
The woman that Lauren Lapkus should sue. Do you know who I mean? The comedian who's popular right now?
Yeah.
The skinny, big-eyed. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
As a kid, I remember her being not attractive. And watching this now, the whole midriff exposed thing, I'm like, dang, she's like essentially not wearing pants.
She makes my spider sense tingle.
She's got her fashion sense is super early 2000s, but yeah, she's an extraordinarily attractive woman.
Yeah. It's funny watching it as an adult and being like, oh, with all the trappings of like making her look weird and uncomfortable, she's an attractive young person.
This is also I tried to find out. I thought I was wondering if there was like a third scene that was dropped, because this seems like the middle point of a 3-beat character arc for this woman that never got finished.
Right.
Yeah, they eat cake and that's it.
Yeah. I was expecting her to like come in at the end when Mary Jane showed up and be like, oh no, like in the background or something.
Right.
I could be wrong, but I think she shows up in Spider-Man 3.
I did read she did, yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember her from it, but I haven't seen Spider-Man 3 since the theater.
I just remember a lot of singing and dancing.
Venom.
She's like, you can call me Eddie. So he goes to see his aunt, and she's moving out because of the foreclosure and gentrification. She tells Peter she's not upset about the Uncle Ben thing and gives Peter a big old speech about how important Spider-Man is to the world, and then there's a kid who loves Spider-Man, and then there's some stuff about responsibility. I stopped listening after a while.
Wait, is she still paying a mortgage on that house? Because Uncle Ben was retired, right? He didn't work. Aunt May did.
Yeah, she was.
Well, yeah, I mean, it got foreclosed on, so I assume she was paying a mortgage.
It's the only way you can get foreclosed.
Yeah, so
Uncle Ben was forcefully retired.
Oh, that's right. He got fired from the factory. He was an electrician.
Laid off, but
yeah.
Well, and in this, she's trying to get a second mortgage on it, so maybe they had refinanced earlier. Or
yeah, that's a good point. Refinancing.
Yeah. So Peter decides to be Spider-Man again, but he can't seem to get his powers back. The my back scene was very funny.
Yeah, that was coincidental. The script was written before Tobey Maguire had his back problems.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was funny watching him bounce off the wall and the cars.
Well, and just how long it held on him walking and walking and walking.
Yeah.
That parking lot looked like a nightmare, by the way.
Oh, God.
All those cars just parked next to each other between two buildings.
Oh.
How are you going to get anywhere in your car in any reasonable period of time?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't even, I don't think there was even space enough between the cars that were parked to drive a car out of there.
No, there's there has to be an attendant that you have to call to move 16 cars to get your car out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wonder if the spaces get more expensive towards the front.
I cannot imagine the nightmare of owning a car in Manhattan. I just cannot.
Oh, no.
Yeah, just
I had one in Chicago and it was a nightmare.
Oh, God. No, even in a town as small as Milwaukee, when you're in the city, you have to move it 3 times in a day.
I was going to say, yeah, and if it's snowing, you have to move it every day because the plow goes on either side each day.
You have to get a permit to park it on the street overnight.
It's true.
All right, so
thanks a lot, Spider-Man.
Yeah. So meanwhile, MJ and her astronaut are mailing wedding invitations. MJ is not satisfied with her football playing astronaut hero because he's not a dorky guy that secretes sticky liquid from his wrists.
Right. She tests him.
Yeah.
With a kiss, with an upside down kiss. She tests him.
She tests him.
I think she suspects he might be Spider-Man for a second.
Yeah. He is not. Spoiler.
He's not. No. Literally.
So she and Peter meet at a cafe where she tells him she wants to be with him again. And Peter pulls the classic Parker reversal.
The classic Superman Lois thing.
Right.
I'm going to gaslight your ass for right now.
He's like, remember what I said earlier? Opposite.
Psych.
I got you. It was a prank, bro.
But then she throws the kiss test at him.
Yes. But before
He's so reluctant.
But luckily, this awkward conversation is interrupted when Doc Ock throws a car through the window.
It was a really cool scene.
Yeah, it was. I noticed, I don't know if you guys remember the teaser trailer for this, which was essentially just this scene.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right. Yeah, I do remember that.
I noticed because I watched the teaser trailer that it was actually the teaser was actually about 3 times as long as the scene actually was. The car, the car going over Peter lasted like a solid 30 seconds longer than it did in the actual movie.
Huh.
So he throws the car through the window and tells Parker to have Spider-Man meet him. Then he kidnaps Mary Jane. This causes Peter to rage out and his powers abruptly return.
Abruptly.
Yes.
Just suddenly doesn't need glasses anymore.
I really liked the glasses change. That was the best way to show that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Better than him starting to drip at his wrists or something gross.
Yeah.
Or spider fibers coming out of his fingers.
Dripping with some sort of weird wrist spider pre-cum dripping out.
Yeah, like a nocturnal emission thing. He's like, oh, that's never happened before. Gross.
Yeah.
Somebody have a napkin or a paper towel?
He gets his costume back from the Daily Bugle and then he goes to meet Doc Ock. They fight.
That was kind of cute with JJ at the Bugle. Just he laments Spider-Man being gone. He's like, and he says Spider-Man was a hero. Yeah. And then the suit is stolen. He's like, he's a thief. He's a menace.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. The instant switch.
He stole my suit. That's mine.
Made me hope for the newer Spider-Man movies that we may get another scene like this from J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah. That is absolutely what I'm looking most forward to in the third one.
Yeah.
So they fight up and down the city. Doc Ock ends up causing a train to run out of control. The whole train fight was really good.
Yeah, except for one part.
Uh-oh.
Doc Ock throws Spidey forward in the direction of the momentum of the train. He throws him forward, but then Spidey goes through that footbridge, and then Spidey is suddenly behind Doc Ock.
But the train was accelerating.
The train was not accelerating at that point.
Maybe it was still accelerating.
Oh, fuck you, man.
I thought about it too. I was like, that's the only way it makes sense.
Train war.
That is the only way it makes sense if it was still accelerating. But yeah, he's suddenly behind him. He throws him forward, and Spidey's suddenly behind him to hit him. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know. Physics don't work that way.
Or Spider-Man, when he came out, used his spider abilities to create some drag to slow himself down.
Slow it down.
Like flying squirrels.
Shot a web we didn't see and flipped over him. I don't know.
Yeah, the shot of him flying through the bars on the bridge is one of the best shots in this whole movie.
That was really good.
That was
just such a cool shot. And it almost distracts from the fact that, how is he behind after being thrown forwards?
Yeah.
All right. So Spidey saves gets his mask taken off because it gets all hot and burny. Then he saves the train, and the passengers get a view of Spidey's face. They promise not to reveal his identity. We get the carefully, he's a hero meme.
It's a poignant scene, and it's cool that's how they reacted, but it's like, we won't tell anybody, mainly because we have no idea who you are.
Exactly.
White kid, blue eyes. I don't know.
Right. It's not like it came off and you're like, oh my God, Tobey Maguire.
It's Peter Parker. We all know him.
But incidentally, those two kids that said we're not going to tell anybody are Tobey's half brothers.
Oh, that's cool.
The old Maguire boys.
Well, I think their last name is Epp, E-P-P.
Oh,
but half brothers.
Yeah, from when Omar Epp married Tobey Maguire's mom.
Mike Epps.
Yeah. All right. So Doc Ock shows back up. The passengers try to protect Spider-Man, but they can't. Spidey's knocked unconscious by the Doc, who then delivers him to Harry Osborn.
That was cute too. Back on the train, he's just like, "You got to go through us to get to Spider-Man." He's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
All right.
What is that comedian's name? He's friends with Joe Rogan.
Which one?
Nick Diaz. What's his? I forget his name.
Oh, Joey Diaz. Yeah.
Joey Diaz. That's right.
Uh-huh.
The only movie I think I've seen Joey Diaz in, but the moment I saw him, I was like, that's funny.
Harry gives Doc Ock his secret sun crystals, and then the Doc leaves. Harry unmasks Spider-Man and is shocked that it's Peter Parker, although in retrospect there were a lot of signs he probably should have recognized.
How did he knock him unconscious? Did he drug Spider-Man?
I mean, Spider-Man was already kind of like woozy from the entire fight.
He got hit in the face 40 times.
He hadn't eaten that day.
It's hot. He's wearing a mask and couldn't breathe.
Spider-Man passed out after using his webs to stop the train.
Right, but then he woke
and
up.
The passengers carried him over into the train, so he was unconscious for a little while, and then Doc Ock just hit him with one of his tentacles.
Because he does wake up on the train.
He got roofied.
Yeah. He wakes up again for the "we won't tell anyone" thing, but then and Doc Ock hits him.
So
yeah, he was already woozy. That was the
point. Reason why we see Spider-Man's face is because it gets burned, right? His mask gets burned and he can't see through it anymore.
Yeah, there was a little explosion.
and it's still kind of marked by these char burns.
Yeah.
And in the moments after the mask is put back on, the color of the mask lightens up back to red. I swear to God, it drove me nuts. Like, it's like a self-repairing fabric thing, and the lenses, you think he'd be like, oh shit, I gotta pop these lenses out and put new ones in or something.
Right. Or raise them up so they're
actually where his eyes are. Yeah, we've all seen the picture, right?
Where to be anatomically correct. Yeah, it's like down on his cheeks.
Yes. Oh God. All right. So Harry unmasks Spidey. He's shocked. Peter wakes up, tells Harry that Doc Ock kidnapped MJ. Harry tells him about the boom rock he gave to the doc, and Peter asks Harry to tell him where the doctor is. And he said, Doctor, Mr. MD.
Peter is still refusing to tell Harry about his dad being the Goblin.
Because because Norman said Peter, don't tell Harry, and Peter's keeping that promise.
He keeps that promise. Instead of saying, dude, your dad killed himself, he was the Green Goblin, he says, this is bigger than you and me.
Mm-hmm.
This goes all the way to the top.
The ghost, the ghost of the Goblin has other plans.
Right? I'm so confused if that was actually some... Like, what? Anyways, we'll get to that. So, at his hideout, Doc Ock is making his glow machine. Mary Jane is tied up in wet, as she is contractually obliged to be at least once per movie. Then Spidey arrives. He fights the Doc, unchains MJ, ends up electrocuting Doc Ock again, but
when he electrocuted him, it would have been badass if he was like fried calamari.
That's actually a great point. We don't get a very quippy Spider-Man in this movie. He's not talking shit at all. Normally, he'd be making like squid jokes and octopus jokes and tentacle jokes.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. Well, this is a Peter Parker movie more than a Spider-Man movie in a lot of ways.
Yeah. He just doesn't have a sense of humor at all.
Back to Mary Jane. Did Doc Ock go out of his way to like douse her in water, or is she just really sweaty?
I assume he swam using those metal arms that somehow floated to get there.
Even though it's connected to the land by
dock. I mean, because they were on the other side.
Oh, that's right. They were.
Yeah, like he crossed the Hudson to get there.
That's right. Manhattan's on the other side of the river. Oh, wait, are they in Jersey, maybe? Are they maybe in Jersey?
There's buildings like that all over Jersey, right?
Yeah, but either way, she is again wet and not wearing a bra, which
we get a reprise of
the classic
Kirsten's nipples.
Yeah, the classic Mary Jane look. So, anyways, he electrocutes Doc Ock and then talks him into no longer listening to the advice of his sentient robot arms. And
that's all he needed was a friend. No one was there to comfort him after he lost his wife and his life's work.
Yeah.
He just needed someone to bounce some ideas off of. He's like, wow, I really got up in my own head about this whole thing. So let's see. He decides to destroy the fusion sunball by throwing it into the river because water puts out fire.
Right.
Radiation.
Water puts out fusion.
Doesn't it? Right? So he goes into the water with it, sacrificing himself. MJ discovers Peter is Spider-Man. He saves her from a falling wall and confesses he really loves her.
The very cute moment. They exchange highs, and then Peter says, "This is really heavy."
Yeah.
That was
heavy
great.
Duty Doc.
I was disappointed that we see Doc Ock drown. We see him dead.
Yeah.
I wish that had not been revealed. That is something that we didn't need to see, really.
I agree.
Yeah.
Even at the end of a redemption arc, it didn't add anything, in my mind.
This was a remnant of the Batman movies where you just kill off every villain at the end of the movie.
Right. They just died.
That was,
that's how you best them.
Yeah, you have to kill them. Otherwise, they could come back and the movie's not over yet.
Well, because we got that at the beginning. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It was just, yeah, I mean, it was just in the days before they were thinking about a series.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Even though this is a sequel itself.
Yeah, exactly. And they were already planning the third one.
Yeah. They laid all this groundwork. Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. As we're soon to see.
Well, and Doc Ock and the Goblin are notoriously bickering between each other, right? Like they work together, but they're not friends.
Oh my god, I would have loved to have seen Willem Dafoe and Alfred Molina together on screen.
Yeah, they'd tear up the scene. Anything that they were in together.
That would have been great. So, all right, they hang out for a while in a big old web that Peter makes. He tells her they can't be together because his enemies will use her to get to him. Her astronaut arrives, and Spidey sends her to him, swinging away into the night.
So they just put astronaut Jameson into the squad car to go to the dock.
I would assume
he's leading the investigation.
This thing is going down. Like,
yeah.
Was he just doing a ride along? Was it just happenstance that he was in the right car?
Yeah.
Going to the right place?
He's like, there was some sort of explosion on the docks. We need an astronaut.
An astronaut who can play football specifically.
That's not a bad point, though. He is probably got some background in physics. You know, he's probably no slouch when it comes to science.
Yeah.
Or it could just be the pilot who throws footballs on the moon.
Yeah.
He's just a flyboy, man. Don't give him too much credit.
You flyboys crack me up.
Back at Casa de Osborne, Harry is visited by the ghost of movies past.
It's not a chair, it's a mirror, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same mirror.
It is.
It's the same. Yeah, absolutely.
It's Norman's old Gollum mirror.
Was that attached to the wall in the first movie?
I don't know.
I thought that was a freestanding mirror, like a wardrobe
like
mirror.
a Victorian
maybe.
mirror.
Yeah, maybe it's a different mirror. Maybe
I thought it was on the wall.
Maybe
Anyway, that's either way.
Maybe all the mirrors in this place are haunted.
Yeah, if you look in another mirror, it's Harvey Keitel.
You're like, wait, are you dead?
Conveniently, behind this mirror is a secret chamber.
Yes.
The lab.
He smashes his dad's old ranting mirror and discovers a secret green goblin cave, complete with serum, costume, bombs, and a glider.
You'd think if you had all that gear behind it, you would have like a bulletproof glass mirror and not just like a regular ass mirror.
Yeah, a false door or something.
Okay, so something that Jude pointed out. In the first movie, there's 3 separate instances where Norman Osborn just smashes glasses and bottles for no apparent reason.
Yeah, yes.
Harry continues that in this movie. He smashes glass 3 times in this movie.
I think we brought it up because there's a scene with Defoe where he drinks a whole tumbler of scotch and then just tosses that glass into the fire.
Yeah. Well, and when he drinks,
like they're Dixie cups.
Well, and in the beginning of Spider-Man 1, when he drinks the serum, he just smashes the bottle in his lab.
That's his style.
Pay somebody to clean that shit up.
It's an Osborn thing.
Exactly.
Then it's MJ's.
It's genetic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then it's MJ's wedding day, and like any nervous bride, her eyes are empty and lifeless. So she leaves her fiance at the altar, runs off to find Peter. She finds.
Did you notice that all her bridesmaids were dressed in black?
Yeah, I did actually.
Whoa,
that's an odd choice.
And what's his name? Harry had a green tie on.
He did, yeah. He had a bow tie,
goblin
bow tie.
Ah, interesting. Interesting.
That was also in that layer. It's like the boomerang bow tie in Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
So he attends the wedding as the goblin then.
Yeah.
In his mind, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, isn't all of it in his mind?
I'm wearing secret goblin underwear.
Nobody knows.
His lucky goblin underwear.
So she finds Peter, pledges her love to him. They kiss. Sirens wail. She urges him to go be a hero. He swings off through the city.
She gives her most famous catchphrase ever.
Yeah, go get him, Tiger.
Yeah. And what's funny, I know she wasn't the threat, but he's standing there looking out the window and she gets up to like 4 feet away from him and his spider sense does not tell him there's someone standing behind him at all.
There was a significant lack of spider sense in this movie. I think the only instance I noticed was when the car came through the window at the cafe.
Also the train.
Yeah.
He used his spider sense to know that the track was ending.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he looked far.
Yeah,
that's true.
The last shot of the movie is her watching pensively through the window. And then Dashboard Confessional plays us to the credits.
Vindicated. I am strong.
Well,
God, they wrote that song for this movie. That is another explainer song, Al.
Yeah. Oh, and the first one had an explainer Nickelback song.
Oh, at least it's Dashboard instead of Nickelback. Vindicated was released as the single for this film. I was a big Dashboard Confessional fan in high school.
Yeah. For the first one, Hero by Nickelback was the Spider-Man 1 explainer song.
Yeah, that's on the list.
Yeah.
That's on there.
Yeah. But yeah, Dashboard Confessional.
The last shot of the movie was not her looking through the window. It was...
I'm sorry. He swings.
He swings a lot with the helicopters behind him. He's outrunning the helicopters.
Is that something that happens? We brought that up in the first Spider-Man. Like, it seems difficult to fly helicopters around Manhattan.
Buildings? Yeah.
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 But whatever.
Yeah, every single movie ever is The Siege, just with helicopters flying through buildings and shit, or Godzilla.
Yeah. Well, and you know those buildings create like crazy wind tunnels. I imagine it must be extraordinarily difficult, even like not with just how small of a space it is, but all of the crazy different wind currents.
Yeah, the horizontal effect as you fly between the two buildings.
I would understand the perimeter or the shorelines or, but just
or
in and out.
Above the buildings.
Or above. That's how they do it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there are laws against flying helicopters between buildings.
I'm something of a scientist myself.
This movie really made me want to
be a better man.
Be a better man. Play the Spider-Man game that Brian has.
Oh yeah, the PS4
if you guys haven't
Spider-Man.
played the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man game is a work of art. It
looks awesome.
It's really, really. It leans so hard on this movie in particular.
It's pretty cool. I couldn't quite get the hang of it the only time I played it over at Brian's house, but it was still fun. Swinging through buildings.
Mm-hmm. There's a long history of and now we're talking about video games. There's a long history of really, really well made Spider-Man video games, and this
some
movie
not so good.
Did not have. I think this movie is the one that had a really bad game. Also, I forget exactly which one it was, but yeah, there was like a Nintendo 64 game that was amazing and a Nintendo 64 game that was not amazing.
Did any of you ever play the SNES Spider-Man game?
Ooh, isn't that considered one of the worst video games of all time?
It's so bad. Okay, so it's a platformer, but you can't go up walls. You can only jump from building to building, and you don't swing in it at all.
That's so fun. Like, why even make the game?
Terrible.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, the failures, I think, are what created the successes, though, because they really, really, really had to nail the simple mechanic of swinging, the pendulum effect of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
The credits also included the theme from Spider-Man performed by Michael Bublé.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's
I have
great.
that.
Right.
Yeah, I have that version on my iTunes.
I've got to say,
I love that.
So, all right, this is kind of slightly off topic, jumping ahead, but all right, in Spider-Man Homecoming, they had a Ramones theme going.
Yeah.
Right? They used Ramones
I also have that. They recorded that as well. Yeah.
Right. I was so disappointed that they did not use the Ramones version of the Spider-Man theme for the Spider-Man Homecoming credits, because they used the Ramones multiple times in that movie, and the Ramones recorded the Spider-Man theme.
They're probably saving it.
I
have a feeling that we'll get it.
I hope so, yeah.
So, it was a good movie.
Yeah, it stood up. It was my favorite superhero movie at the time. It's not now because of so many have come out, but yeah, I was right. My memory was correct about everything. It was a really fun, good, well-made movie.
Yeah. I mean, outside of the superhero genre, it's a damn good movie.
Yeah, the beats and the rhythm of the storytelling is... It seemed like the shortest movie we've done compared to some others.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though it was 2 hours and 7 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
It just constantly moved.
Yeah, it did. Which kind of does bring us, boys, to the rankings.
I can't find the rankings. I tried. I know I'm looking in it. All right, anyways.
All right.
Where is the original Spider-Man? Is that number
2?
2?
Yeah.
Is this better than the original Spider-Man?
I think so.
I think we've all said it out loud during the show that it has been.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. The only thing we have above the original Spider-Man then is Batman. Is it better than Batman?
No, not better than Batman 89.
Yeah.
Al?
I concur.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Better than
don't.
Superman.
I don't
Spidey
think this
one.
tops this. If it hadn't been for the biological weapon, the biological webbing, and the weird, just how he could just shut off his powers,
Yeah.
by wanting to,
Right. It was a lazy device that.
Yeah.
It could have been better.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I would stick it at number 2 myself, under Batman.
Were you talking about Biden Harris or it could have been better?
It sounded like I did.
Yeah, I love it.
So, all right, I can go with that. But we're gonna put Spider-Man 2 at number 2.
Awesome.
That's the least dramatic ranking we've had thus far out of 53 movies.
And for the first time in a year, I'm searching to look for them till I can have a run. I can't find it. Like maybe I was right. No, I can't even. Yeah, that's a good spot. I'm down with it.
Potentially the least dramatic ranking was when we put Batman 89 at number 1.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When we were in 1989.
There was no argument.
Yeah, there was zero argument whatsoever. There was barely a discussion.
And Superman, it will. Superman was up there, but then we saw so many better movies than Superman.
Yeah.
But it was that at the time.
I'm going to be interested. Batman 89 has held on for so long. I'm going to be interested to see what finally takes it down.
Right.
Oh, man.
But it was the 14th movie we watched, and Spider-Man 2 was number 53. So.
Well, and this is what, 2004?
Yep.
Yes.
So we're 4 years short of the MCU.
Yep. And we've got quite a few movies between this and Iron Man. So
yeah.
And which leads us to next week's movie. Next week we will be watching Catwoman.
Oh no.
Halle Berry's Catwoman.
Yeah, I'm curious, like a train, like rubbernecking curious. I want to see how bad it is.
Yeah. Oh boy. Will it hold up to Spider-Man 2?
But did Spider-Man 2 have Halle Berry in a cat suit? So
somewhere
it's got that going for it.
Right. It has that at least. And it has no scenes of anyone aggressively playing basketball. So
not a one.
So that's next week. Everybody, thank you all for listening. This has been Thoreau Smiley, and I most likely will die a monster.
I'm Josh CC, and I'm in you, Harry.
I'm Brian Lesh, and in the words of Doc Ock, if you want to get a woman to fall in love with you, feed her poetry.
I'm Alaric Weber, saying work out, get plenty of rest, and eat your green vegetables.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.